GM builders, welcome back to another episode of Building Onchain. Today's builder is Saul. He's a DevRel engineer at ZK Email. Hi, Saul. How's it going?
Hello. How are you, Paloma? All good.
I'm doing well. So excited to yap with you. So first, let's start with intros. Tell me about your journey into Web3, how you stumbled into the space.
Yes. So as you mentioned, currently I'm doing developer relations at CK Email. Before I work as a software engineer, doing full stack development. Then I did some product, and then somehow I managed to get into Web3. I firstly applied for ETH Lisbon last year. I had no idea about software. I mean, I had no idea about smart contract development or how was Ethereum or anything like that. But within 2 years, I managed to continue learning, continue exploring the space. This year, for example, I participated as well in the hackathon, this time at Brussels, where we got a prize with my team. And basically, for the last 2 years, I've been working, learning, and managing to get into Web3, basically.
Awesome. I love that hackathons were a big part of your start. I also know you're a part of Developer DAO. So speaking of hackathons and building, what's the coolest thing you've ever built on chain?
So probably the hackathon that we did at Brussels was one of the best. The idea that we have was basically to provide payment solutions for non-crypto native people. So we developed this concept where you basically can create a deposit, and then that deposit is going to be linked with a QR code that anybody can retrieve, basically. So, for example, you want to send some money to your friend, but your friend doesn't know anything about how blockchain works. So you would basically send them the link, and with the link, they will be able to retrieve the amount of money that you send them. So social finance, this idea of friend peer-to-peer payments, where you don't have invoices or anything like that. And the idea was to make it as simple as possible. So we managed to do a hackathon within 24 hours, during ETH Brussels. So it was super fun. We managed to create a front end. We managed to create a really cool demo as well. So really proud of that project. And then I've made test projects forever, but nothing else that I should mention, I guess.
Okay, I love that. So the test project, I'm really curious. What was the first ever thing you deployed on chain? And what chain, what
Yeah.
network was it?
I actually believe it was Polygon mainnet because I didn't even know about testnets. So back then I managed to be at Polygon when it was Matic, it wasn't Pol yet. So I developed this ERC20 contract somehow that I deployed with Remix. I remember I struggled everything. I didn't know anything about hardhat at the moment. We didn't have any other. Well, we have Truffle, we had hardhat, then Truffle disappeared. Now Foundry is the standard at the moment, but back then I didn't know how to struggle or how to manage hardhat or anything. And it was a funny token, ERC20 token with uh funny features, and that was my first contract that I've developed. But it was super super primitive. I remember with love, but it was just a funny experiment only.
Yeah, I love that. And the interesting thing is when people talk about their first on-chain experience, when someone tells you what network it was and what's chain, you kind of have an idea of the time, the period that they
Yeah.
first got into the space. Because if someone says oh, I deployed on Rinkeby, then you're oh, this was before the merge. So yeah, I love that you were all the way back when it was Matic and straight to mainnet. That's so hilarious. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that yeah, so thank you for sharing about your journey into Web3. Next set of questions would be about just DevRel and ZK email. So you're a DevRel engineer at ZK email. What is ZK email? ZK email for dummies, what
Okay.
is it?
This is the best question. So basically, the idea of CK email is that you can create an email proof based on the DECIN signature. The DECIN signature is generated by like the DKIM protocol, and every time you send or receive an email, it's going to be signed with an RSA private key. So with that, you can create a CK proof that verifies the authenticity of the email, which is used mainly for like spam purposes. And then with that, what we also can do is we can extract parts of the email and verify and only publicly share some part of the email. So this creates really funny dynamics where, for example, you can create a CK proof, and then based on that proof, once you verify that proof, you can execute an on-chain transaction. And with that, you can basically do anything you can imagine.
Okay. I love that. So two things I would like to ask is, can you give us a picture of like what you can achieve with CK email, and also like why is that important? I feel like the examples of things would also help with explaining like why it's important.
Yes. So at the moment, we have like some libraries that allows you to, for example, create email transactions. And what this means is that basically you can authenticate a transaction with your email, and by verifying the proof, we create a message, and with that message you can execute a transaction. So instead of having to have a private key where you sign the transaction and then it executes, everything would be executed within a layer, and then the user, the only thing that would need to do would be basically to reply an email. So with that email, we would basically create a CK proof and then give you the message, and then with that message you can execute a transaction. Also, one of the very cool use cases that we have for smart accounts is that you can actually email recover your account. In the case, for example, you have your smart account and then you have lost access to your EOA, then your smart account is lost. So what you can do with CK email as well is to configure a guardian, which is going to allow you to, like, in the case you lost access to your EOA, if you have previously configured your guardian, you would basically have like this forget password feature, but for your smart account. In the case this happens, so you don't have access to your EOA anymore, you would be able to trigger the recovery process, and then basically you would receive an email, and with it, and once you reply to this email, you wait for a time lock period for security reasons, then you would be able to confirm the recovery process, and this basically would replace the old EOA you have lost access to a new EOA that you have set up. This means that basically you have a new security feature that people, which is not native to crypto, would highly appreciate, in our opinion.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like with the example of account recovery, so it's great for better UX and like better I don't want to say account abstraction, but like kind of in a sense.
Indeed, it's a kind of abstraction. Yeah, it's a kind of abstraction, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw the really cool demo that you did for the rejection con. So like let's talk about that, like the video, but like also a little bit about rejection con, how to do like verifiable proofs of rejection with ZK.
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. The main idea with ZK, as I mentioned, you can like create a proof of an email. So as long as it's signed with the DECIN signature, you're gonna be able to create a proof for like most of the email providers, and then you can extract part of the email. So basically, for example, for like the proof of rejection, we could take an email from like depcon.org and verify that the body has, if I'm not mistaken, the email had something like update on the status of your request, or like on your talk, something like that. So you can take that header from the email. So that's like a thing you verify. And also you can extract the name of the talk, which was included on the email. And then they say something like, this talk was rejected. So basically we can take this email, verify that this is from depcon.org, and then we can extract these values, and if everything matches, we can create a CK proof with CK email. So once you have the CK proof created, you can basically submit that to the verification smart contract, and then you would have a verified email proof that you have been rejected for Depcon, for example.
No, that's so interesting, like that application in particular, because it's like, okay, yes, for like rejected or like unfortunately, or we regret to inform you, those are all the things that you have in like a rejection email. So like that sort of application. But I'm also thinking like there are lots of like other ways you could actually apply that. Like you could do proof of acceptance also. for if it was like you want to check that somebody like got an accepted mail. One thing I'm curious is like what if it's like a like so for example with proof of like acceptance, I imagine that the like criteria would be stricter, like the proof would be stricter than like a rejection email, like any rejection. Like that was like pretty open-ended, but like something like acceptance that has to like maybe not acceptance for everything, but acceptance for like a specific thing, then there's going to be like more
Yeah.
like strict. So how does that work? Like how would that work, like
So
hypothetically?
so yeah, it's the same definition as basically as a rejection. So we assume that all the emails, in this case for acceptance, for rejection, are gonna have the same template for all the users. So we basically take the same template. So if it's, for example, including, hello, you have been accepted to XYZ program. So we would take that, we would create a regular expression, and that would be extracted from the email. So the first step, we would verify that it's a valid email with a DECIN signature, and then we would extract the values from the email body or like the header or anywhere in the email, and we would verify that. And that's the two things that we verify to create a CK proof. So basically, if you have received an email that has, hello, you have been accepted, you would have that definition in a regular expression, and that would be part of the CK proof that you create.
Okay, yeah, that's more clear to me. Thank you so much. And it's like giving me a lot of ideas because I feel like with ZK email, like tech at the baseline, there's a lot of like things you can experiment with for a lot of use cases and just like figure out like what works and things like that. And so, if I or like someone listening wanted to get started with like building on ZK email or like any of the libraries or the SDK, how would you suggest we get started?
Sure, like always feel free to reach to the team. We have the Telegram at telegram.me/ck email, or like send me. I would love to help you out. CK email offers different things from like creating an email proof, which in this case you would basically create a blueprint within our registry, and then with the SDK you would be able to verify and to basically create a proof within your like React or Next application or any JavaScript bundler. And for example, if you want to create email recovery, you would basically have to integrate more the solidity side of the things. Or if, for example, you're like a cryptographer, like hardcore engineer, and you just want to use like the primitives that we use without any sort of abstraction, you also have the repository that you can directly modify the circuits to like update any feature that you like for your particular use case, which in that case, it's going to be more like, hey, let's understand the code and then develop through that code for our use case. So we offer a very wide range of options, and based on that, you can always go to the documentation, which is always improving, and also ask any question if you find any sort of issue.
Thank you. Is there like any alpha you can give, like what to expect from the team in the coming weeks, months, something like we can look forward to? If you can share,
Yeah, at the moment we were like, yeah, this is like the roadmap for any project. Basically, we are always trying to improve. At the moment, we have like a great focus on improving the reliability of every product that we have. We also want to improve the developer experience, so everybody's going to be welcome to your project and without any sort of issue, kind of get started within like 10 minutes at most. So we're trying to work as hard as possible in order to improve all the different features that we offer, so anybody can also, so basically everything can be accessible to everybody.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So I'm really curious, if you had to pick like one of the like features, libraries that ZK email like has, which is your favorite?
I believe that account recovery is one of the most epic or like the most interesting ones in my opinion. Like the fact that you can actually recover your funds if you have lost access to your key, in my opinion, is really cool. So I love that we can do that. I love that it's getting better and better. And hopefully everybody's going to end up using email recovery in the future. So really, really excited. And that's probably the product that I love the most.
I love it. Have you lost your private keys before?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh my gosh, I had like such a scare because I think it was a little over a year ago. My phone was stolen and that was when it hit me like, oh my gosh, what if I don't have access to my account? Like, it's not just like, I feel like money was even a least thing because I did not have like a lot of like crypto, but like all my developer DAO, like NFT, my Surge Woman,
Yeah.
this like every like all my like on-chain proofs, my ENS, everything is like on that account, and like also like my test tokens. Like I know like it's not that big of a deal. Like you could always get some, but some like sometimes it's really hard to get test tokens.
Yeah.
When you have to like get like 0.1 ETH of like test
Sepolia.
either test
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite on-chain meme?
Yeah. Like, Pepe has to be the best. I mean, there is no one else better than Pepe. Like, it's the best. Like, I remember, like, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Like, almost a
You
year and a half ago, I saw this stupid meme. Like, well, at the time it was stupid. Now it's Pepe is the best meme for sure. Like, everybody laughed at me, but like my reasoning was super strong. It's a frog and it's green, so it has to be the best. And so far, I have so much fun with Pepe.
yeah, no, I love it. So okay, if you had no restrictions and you could build anything with anyone, what would you build and who would you build it with?
Yeah, this is a great question. Actually, I feel like there is so many good people in the sector. Like, I honestly don't know which one to pick. I would try to have fun building it. I don't know why. I want to like try to power. I mean, I'm really into like CKPL at the moment. Like, I love the phrase CK is the end game, but I like it's not the end game. It's like the beginning of everything. Though that's another discussion. CK is very very interesting. I also love gaming. So if I try to like build something, I would try to mix these two CK gaming. I don't know why, honestly. I think that's probably the two things that can have one of the most impact. Like gaming is something that doesn't have to be like video games or anything like that. It can be just experience that you have, but then it's gamified, and then you have a protocol that allows you to create these fun, simple experiences throughout all the sectors. It doesn't have to be a video game. It could be a whole different thing. But I don't have like a particular one who is like, hey, I should actually build this. Otherwise, I would be doing it.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What's the best advice you've ever gotten and then the worst advice you've ever gotten?
So I wasn't sure about it. Like probably overall, like uh, I've been always a bit different when it comes to like decisions or like the path I've taken. So I've been always told like, hey, you should actually like follow this traditional way or like this conventional path. So I haven't taken that advice, but if I have taken that advice, probably would have been the worst advice I've taken because it have allowed me like not to follow this traditional path, to have made amazing people, to have made like bright minds that have changed the way I think, the way I like see the future, the way I like interact with people in some cases. So that has been one of the things I probably can say that I haven't followed. I keep trying to make my own way. And the best advice is that it's not an advice somebody have told me, but it's a phrase from a poem. I'm gonna just half distract from that phrase, which is, "If you're going to do something, go all the way." And in the context of the poem is that um, you will face many problems, you will face so many challenges, you will be against everybody, you will be alone, but fighting for this goal, it's gonna be worth it, and it's gonna be better than any feeling. Or it's actually like the phrase, it's gonna be better than anything else you can imagine. So it's not from somebody, but from like a poem that I've read.
No, I love that advice and I will focus on that. Thank you. So the last question is who is someone you would like to see interviewed on the podcast?
Um, I was actually thinking about crypto. Like that would be. are really, really interesting. I don't know if he has been already into the podcast, but like he's always super interesting. He's always building these crazy projects, and I feel like he should have some space to share what is actually going on like his mind. He's like a genius in my opinion, and like he should actually be on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think I'm saving crypto for when I know enough about Rust to have like a conversation. Because I know that like we're going to talk about Rust and and like I don't want to be clueless for like 90% of the conversation. But yeah, that's an amazing guest. Definitely someone I would love to have sometime. But okay, so this brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much, Saul, for coming and for like amazing conversation. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting. I'd love to be here again.